we were just talking about, well, welcome, Jeff, first of all.
Right.
We were talking about how we learned so much in our Hollywood days that we apply to our lives and our jobs now. What were you going to say? I thought we should
I
share.
was just thinking today, just like some of the shit that we went through. And, I had a shit day. Everybody has their ups and downs days, and I had a shit day. And I was just kind of thinking about times like, dude, we slept in cars sometimes. We slept Hollywood. Remember the Hollywood and Western building?
100%.
You'd have to sleep on top of the amps, like some kind of like a board or some shit, because the carpet was so goddamn nasty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, and we had to sleep and we had to take showers in the Y because like we were just, sometimes you'd have like, dude, you'd end up in Sunset Strip, like above Hollywood Hills in some penthouse for like, weekend, and you're just partying and everybody's doing blow and fuck, it's just crazy. And next thing you know, you're sleeping in your car behind Denny's on Christmas Eve,
Yeah. And I don't think any of the sleeping is even as bad as this is probably going to happen. Your life's made. You have a record deal. No, you don't.
Yeah.
I don't think any of that, the living is nearly as bad as the dream, the dangling carrot.
Oh, dude, how many carrots? Like, because we lived together. I don't know if
yes.
On Larrabee, and you lived with your girlfriend. I lived with Denise. I think it was Aida. And I was in the back pool house or some shit.
Yeah, you'd have to go through our room to get through. And you live with two Blackbird Jungle members, and I live with you longer than anybody in Hollywood. So you live with both. You did too.
You have to walk to your bedroom. Like, you guys are like all sleeping and shit. And I'd be like, hey, good night, man. I'd have to like literally walk through.
Yes. And it was your closet remember, it was our room, a closet we all shared, and then your room. It was nice. It was
cool. It was fucking awesome. I mean, you just walked out of the fucking whiskey, you were right there. It's just so crazy, man. And then before that, we lived behind on Cherokee. I lived with Kenny.
Yeah.
Kenny, I think, over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But those were the times where it was just like, I mean, dude, we were sure. I started running up my phone bill because, dude, and then on top of living together, we rehearsed across the hall from each other in Hollywood and Western.
Just crazy, dude. Literally, I was thinking about that today too. I spent more time with you guys, Blackboard Jungle, than I did with my own band,
I know. I felt that about you. Like, you were more separate, like from your band. They did their thing, and we kind of hung together because we just had a bond. We loved Jim Morrison, you and I, and we would talk for hours upon hours about everything.
Oh, dude, that was cool because you were like, honestly, like, there wasn't you and actually Mandy too.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Thrill. Remember Jimmy?
Oh yeah, I love Jimmy Thrill. Yeah, I still talk to him.
A handful of guys that I felt like back in the day, they were like into it for the art and telling a story.
Yeah.
You always like reminded me of like a fucking Bruce Springsteen or something, because you just would tell these fucking stories, and I'd sit there and listen to you. And I'd be like writing stupid shit like Children in the Night, whatever.
Oh, you had the flesh and bone. You had great lyrics. You had great. Yeah.
No, but like, I was like, hats off to you. You were doing that. And then Mandy'd be like sitting in the corner reading like a horror novel and some shit. Like, he was always like, he was a bookworm, dude. Remember that?
I do. And I remember you bringing me in your room and Cherokee when you lived with Kenny, going, dude, you got to check out this band. They're doing exactly what I wanted to do. And it was Nirvana on your TV. I remember that specific moment. Yeah.
God damn. That's just crazy stuff. Life's crazy. But yeah, the street smart, I guess it's like, we earned our PhD in Poor, Hungry, and Driven, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you got a PhD in street smarts, because, man, if you learn how to survive that shit, you can just get through anything, man.
So many weirdos, so many weird managers that were just, is this going to I mean, think of that. How did we not think we're going to be rock stars? We lived across the hall. We lived together. But across the hall, you have Brent Muscat from Hollywood's biggest subculture band, Faster Pussycat, producing us. And then Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons are going literally across the hall into your room to work with you.
Isn't that nuts, man?
Where's Jeff? Oh, he's bowling with Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley and his band after they worked on songs.
That was it's funny. I got a call from, was it Ruben? That owned Rock City News.
Ruben Blue, yeah.
Ruben called me up and he goes, dude, Gene Simmons is in came in and asked for all these magazines, and I'm like, all right, whatever. And I gave him your number. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, sure, right? And I'm like, are you serious? I thought he was fucking with me. And I got a call, and it was like, Jeff, this is Gene Simmons. You're like, fuck. I was the kid in Detroit. I grew up in Detroit. First concert was Kiss, but before that, like, man, we used to jump up and down on fucking bunk bed,
Oh,
this rackets, and I'd make my little brother do the light show. Always a rock
yeah,
star, right?
yeah.
And he would do that, and then all of a sudden you're out in Hollywood, you're just sitting across from the guy, going, "Holy shit!" He's just standing here, just giving me the worst contract I think I ever got in my entire fucking life. But hey, man, it was cool.
He told me at your show that I would never make it because I used the word. I guess he was right. No, he goes, tell me why you're going to be good like Bedlin. I said, well, dude, we do. He goes, you just use the word dude, and dude is a word of the past, so you'll never make it.
Oh God! Oh well, he told me, dude, I was blacklisted for. He goes, I'll never make it, and he said this. Well, no, he wanted me to be like a Bret Michaels thing. I'm like, fuck that shit. I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
I'm not, sorry, no offense to him, but I'm like, I'm not. That's my thing. And they try to turn you into that whole. They were into that machine. They were just trying to kick out the product, and wasn't into it. And I got into a band with Lake short out. Lake from Magic World Peace.
yeah.
Kill Big Brother thing. We're like completely anti-establishment, doing 8-minute songs, doing 50-second songs, just doing anything to do the complete opposite of like what was going on. And then Nirvana came out, and then bye bye.
And I remember seeing that band at Laundry, and it's so weird because when you don't have a tape of something, I remember a song, and it made me feel like we were so old then because it was like, if I knew then what I knew now, I blotted. Wasn't that one of the songs?
Yeah, I can't believe you remember that. Yeah,
It was an amazing song, and I had there's no tape. I just live. I think I heard it twice, and it made me wow. That's such a big statement, and it's true. But that was then in our 20s. We felt old.
I got the craziest shit from back then. I have a demo. I was hanging out with Axel one night. Literally, he was going out with some girl that I knew, whatever, and he left the demo of with Wes Arkeen of like some of the older stuff. Did I give you a copy of that or no? Did I say it?
I think we listened to it. We think we listened to it, or so you played it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, but like all the shit that used to happen back there, like think of all the dudes we used to hang out with. Like Jay from Orgy lived with us for a while.
Yeah.
I was dating who was Slamhound, Josh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, Josh was a kid. We used to it was Mother's Day, and we were stoned putting together like this barbecue for his mom, and it's just like all of a sudden I'm like, holy shit, he fucking did pretty good. And Johnny Five, remember Johnny?
Oh, dude, he rehearsed across the hall, right? And he drove Dave crazy because he was an alligator suit, no shirt, and he just sit across from our rooms and play and look at us all day. Just scales.
Johnny Lowry. His name
Yeah.
was Johnny. He came out from Detroit, and I remembered him from Detroit. He came out and he fucking slept on the, and I'm like, dude, you gotta get out, fucking. And he would noodle. He just practiced all day, which is why he's so phenomenal of a guitar player. But he would noodle all day and not come out of the fucking room. And I'm like, dude, you gotta go meet some people. You gotta get in a band. You're just not gonna do anything sitting here in a fucking room. Well, I was wrong.
Yeah. And you had there was a picture maybe a year ago, some pictures of your bands in Detroit. You had a lot going on. It seemed like in Detroit, it didn't seem like little kid bands. It seemed like you had a real band in Detroit.
Well, dude, you know how I got out here? It was crazy. So there was a band called Madam X.
Yeah. Sebastian Bach. Yeah. I loved in high school.
Yeah. So he was on the circuit because he's from Toronto, and Detroit and Toronto's really close. So Sebastian would tour around. We would play with their band all the time. So we were warming up for him one time. He's like, dude, I'm fucking going out to, I'm leaving the band, but I don't want to leave him behind. And I think it was like Roxy Petrucci. Remember it was ended up
Yeah.
Right. So he got me into Madam X, and I came out. My first show was at the Troubadour with Madam X as Sebastian's backup singer. And he's the one that got me into out here in LA. I don't even know if I told you that fucking story. It was crazy.
I didn't know. Wow. Oh my God, man.
And then he turned into a total douche. He was just like poked out. It was like going, come on, man, you were cool back in the day. What happened? But it was, that's how we got out here. It's crazy.
How did you do? Because you had like one of the top 5 voices in the scene. Still do. Where did your voice come from? Did you work at it? How'd you do the monster voice? I mean, that was why you didn't need to be called the Bret Michaels. It wasn't like Sebastian where it was high and pretty. It was mean. It is mean.
It's just anger. No, playing in Detroit, it was rough. It was like real roadhouses, right?
Yeah.
So if you go out there and if you fuck up, Freebird, you're gonna get a beer bottle inside of the head because there's just some drunk, guys standing there like if you weren't good, they'd throw a thing at it. If you were good, they'd be like, go more. And it was like full on Roadhouse. So you had to really earn your chops for you'd get beat up.
But did you just sing in your room? Did you take lessons? I mean, everybody wanted to be the singer. You were, are just do such a great job at it. How did that happen?
Thanks, brother. You know what? Growing up in Michigan, there was like nothing going on. I went to go get a vocal teacher because I sucked. And the only vocal teacher there was an opera vocal instructor. I had no choice. So I had to fucking take this opera, so I'm doing opera lesson that, it was really good because it actually taught me how to sing, but I actually did opera lessons first to learn how to sing before to get in. So it's crazy.
Because you have such balls to your voice. It's crazy.
That's just me being pissed off.
No, but the other thing is, dude, I saw that you sent me a video of your son with an acoustic guitar just killing this Bob Dylan song, and it's the same gene running through. It must be something in your genes, man.
No, dude, it's funny. I think it's just like him just, the kids kind of grow up around music.
Yeah.
I mean, I was putting, a boombox on my wife's stomach when she's pregnant, here, Beatles, go, and I was literally like programming the kid in the womb.
Yeah, yeah.
And he came out, literally like, I swear to God, he was 3 years old and he was, singing Beatles songs. And he just got this weird innate ability to like put songs together. It just blows me away. I'm like, God, am I just biased because it's my kid? But I'm like,
no, I was jealous when I saw like, fuck, that's good. He just said the way he hit that Bob Dylan song was amazing. And there's nothing to hide behind. It was him and a guitar.
And for him to do Bob Dylan, like where do
just
it's crazy. I'm like, where'd you hear that song? I told him my dog. One sec.
Okay, man.
All right, cool. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah, that was crazy. And then, so you move out. How does Bad Blood form?
So, I played in Madam X for a couple minutes, and then we rehearsed down. I don't remember where it was. And then I got into this band Armored Saint for like 10 minutes.
Wait, you were in Armored Saint?
I wasn't in a band. I was like in it for like I think I rehearsed with them 5 or 6 times.
But you rehearsed with Joe Rivera. Like, wow.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the drummers, crazy fucker.
Gonzo.
Yeah, so I played with those guys for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then a friend of mine asked me to come down. Oh, dude, it was Imagine World Peace before it was Imagine World Peace because it was Lake and Gus and dude, didn't Kenny play with Vince? A Vince guy, Vince?
Yes, Vince, yeah.
Okay, so Vince was in that original Imagine World Peace lineup.
He was?
Yeah. With Lake and with this guy Gus. And then I somehow was watching him, and they're like, dude, you should fucking, sing with us. And then it just turned into that. And then we were playing out. I think we did a couple gigs, and then Marky, Marky, man.
And the Rock Dolls, yeah.
He just walked up and goes, dude, drunk. You're in my fucking band. You don't have a choice. And I'm like, all right, because he was in the Rock Dolls. Marky was cool. He was kind of connected, and he was just fucking.
Oh yeah, Marky was like Tommy Lee, not just, but you know what I mean. That same spirit of just like pure that thing.
But those guys were just pure. Good guys in the beginning, unfortunately, like fucking heroin got introduced, and I never stuck a needle in my arm.
Yeah.
Smoked it with them, and then all of a sudden they started shooting, and it was bad. It just went south,
Oh, I remember nights with me and you, Denise's purse, and it went missing, and Joe stole the purse. It just anarchy. Anarchy, running through Burbank and just chasing people. That was just day to day.
He came back. It was Denise's birthday, and I think they stole everybody's purses from the party, and like for drugs, right?
Yeah.
Joe pulled up, and I'm like, dude, I never punched someone so hard in my life. I was pissed, and I'm like hitting him, and dude, he's just like because he's all drugged out and everything. And next thing I know, he's like, okay, my turn. And then I'm on top of the car. Cops come. It was just like this whole big scene or whatever. But yeah, it was, it was a good run, and these guys, it was a good band. We had a lot of fun, and then it just got dark. You know who introduced drugs to the band was Aaron Everly's brother, Aaron Everly was with Axel. It was one of the kid, one of those kids. It was in it.
I don't know if it was Eden Everly, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, Eden Everly, that's what it was.
There's a whole scene of all these different. Yeah,
Yeah, he kind of walked in and it was just like just introduced that, just brought the darkness to it. It was like, oh man, bummer, because it was such a cool thing. And then, and then
But
just
you,
turned weird.
but you guys sounded slithery. That was the sound. It always sounded slithering like a snake. I remember just walking in Spice, whatever, the red light district, and it just sounded like a snake. Just your music, just the grooves were just slithery.
Yeah, they had like a weird, it was like kind of, there was a punk vibe to it, but it was also like, probably because everybody's just so fucking high, it just ended up sounding like that.
Yeah, an amalgamation of the Doors and what was going on. We all were caught between worlds. We all were like, I would say guys like us weren't celebrity skin growing up downtown.
Right.
We like Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue. We also liked the Doors, but it wasn't like our first record was like I don't know, it's like some art rock where we didn't grow up on Kraftwerk or whatever those
No,
guys.
dude, we grew up with fucking, Quiet Riot and metal bands and Bon Jovi and like, we grew up Twisted Sister. I mean, that's what we grew up with, right? That's the era we came in. And so we had that influence with all the 70s and we loved the fucking Doors and we loved Zeppelin. And it was just this weird concoction. And I think that's like kind of like where your Blackboard Jungle sound came from. And I could never get that sound because it was just, it wasn't programmed in us to get it. But I would just like, you come up with songs, dude, you come out and I'm like going, fuck, that's cool. And the stories you came up with. Because I know the stories you were doing because I live with you.
You did, you lived.
I was watching the lyrics and the music. So like when you guys dude, check this out. And I'd be like going, gives me goosebumps thinking about it.
Oh yeah, like I remember I lived with Aida. She was a stripper. And you go, wait, your stripper name is Elaine and your real name is Aida. Isn't that fucking murder? So I got to write this. Shouldn't it be the opposite? Your stripper name's and you just be out of our minds because I would be out of my mind. I remember the first time I saw. What'd you say? Oh,
And when you were in the earlier Blackboard Jungle, you were at Caroline.
oh yeah,
Yeah, dude, you were out of your mind at that
out of
point.
my mind.
You were out of your fucking mind. Like I was just like, holy God, this guy's fucking crazy. Did
Out.
you? Oh, I can't even repeat this story.
Oh, Hollywood was eating me. You can. I don't care. I mean, I remember you saving my life. Chris Joby running to kick me in the head. You're beating him up and you blocking it. Like in the middle of Alta Vista. It was just anarchy.
There was just all those stories, man. It was just like, yeah, yeah. One of those, yeah. I saw.
So, yeah, I love it. I love it, man.
No, he was like, like I walked by, I'm like, well, what are you doing? I think you were pissing on her at a bush, and she was drunk, and you were just like, and just like literally pissing on your girlfriend. I was like, all right, and just kept going.
Oh, Caroline. Yeah, that was a wild time. It's just like insanity. And she asked for it, but it was insanity. I mean,
and then you snap back, and then all of a sudden you got in this creative mode, and I just always thought it was cool to watch you. I always enjoyed that. I don't know if I ever told you that, but I always
thank
watched
you.
like just curve around and switch, go into different modes and writing modes.
Yeah.
It's cool. It was really cool.
Kim Fowley told me, and you remember Kim hanging out. That was a fun time too.
Oh my, that was he walked in and I was just like, what? And he wore the weird, I didn't have like makeup, but I mean, I think it was
Makeup in his Guatemalan suit. It was probably $5, but he called it his Guatemalan suit. It was amazing. Yeah, and he just danced and do his thing. He just the trip, man. It was
weirdest. Yeah, but next thing we were walking around like going, oh, they're hanging out Faster Pussycat, Brett Muskrat. And now this, Fowley, and then you guys did the church, and that was so really cool. It was Joe Howard, all those guys.
Yeah, and it was like just a few years before me and you're eating Captain Crunch in Suburbia and playing with Hot Wheels, and what I mean. That was like
the church was cool. I don't know if a lot of people remember that, but that was like a real cool moment.
That really was. That was my buddy was just at Mates doing some work on it, and I was like, the church was right across from Mates. Remember Mates rehearsal?
Yeah, was it really?
It was. And there's a few Mates, but it was, and just that was insane, dude. I remember once Soul was playing, and Duff was going to jump up with them, and Duff McKagan walked up to him and was like, "Hey man, can I use your amp?" I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah, of course, man." You know what I mean? It was just like, and the church was something that happened after hours. Cops were paid off. We sold beer, and it was just, we just had this whole society of just things that can never ever happen again.
No, you could never repeat that. And just going to the Sunset Strip back in the day, the earliest days, and you guys were probably in Filthy Rich when you first came out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that was just pure chaos. It was like a carnival in the street every fucking night, and it was like then a party afterwards, and it was just like, yeah, I don't know if anybody could even. You can't explain it. You just have to experience it. And it was just freaking crazy, and just like hanging out, and Lemmy sitting there at the Rainbow, and you're just sitting there having a full conversation with him, like, oh my god, I'm sitting next to Lemmy, you know?
Yeah, it was insane. And I remember one of the first nights I got there, it was I saw a picture of Burnett and I wanted to cry and go home because I looked at their long hair and like, how am I going to compete with that? You know what I mean?
It was like stepping into like the big boy leagues, and you're like, oh shit, you know?
Shit, yeah. And then I'm sure for you, because you're such a good musician, such a good singer, you started to go out and go, wait, some of these bands aren't that fucking good. They look good, but really not that fucking good. A lot of it wasn't that good.
No, dude, in my head, I was the shittiest singer on the planet. And, I just like was like, oh God, when is everybody gonna figure out I suck? That was what was going on in my head. So I was always striving to be a little different. And I'm like, maybe I'll be like the Doors, or maybe be like this or that or whatever. But in your head, you got a whole different thing playing out than what's really happening. Or at least I don't know, maybe.
You
Yeah.
got to know you were crushing 97% of the bands. I mean, it was very evident, like, I mean, there were bands, even a Bang Tango was crushing everybody. You go, our bands are rising somehow, even though they said millions of kids moved to LA, it felt like 12 bands moved to LA.
Yeah.
The Glamour Punks, you know what I mean?
There was like a weird moment that all of a sudden, we were the freshman kids on the block, and we're watching everything going on. And then all of a sudden, you look at the whiskey, the whiskey is Blackboard Jungle and Bad Blood and Glamour Punks, and you were all playing like, one night, and you're like going, holy shit, like we're kind of like on top of the heap, or at least I thought it felt like we were,
We're doing this. It was just I call it after the gold rush, because really after Guns N' Roses, the only ones that really Josh was the only one I saw really take that sound and do something with it.
Right.
Which was almost retro because he put it together at the height of grind. You know, I mean, it was almost like a retro sound by the time they did it.
God, and Josh, I knew him when he had no tattoos, and he was a good. He'd go to parties and he'd dance. He liked Prince, and the guy would dance like Mick Jagger, and I'd watch him go, God, that guy's got some fucking cool moves. And I was a shoegazer, man, and I would just be like, I couldn't do that, And I watched like Jimmy Thrill.
Oh yeah,
Thing, It's just like I always wanted to be that, but it just wasn't me. I was just like so I just said I'll take the Morrison lane and just stare at my shoes and
yeah. And what was the end of Bad Blood? I mean, dude, so many carrots right there. This is going to be what was the very? Isn't it weird that a lot of this you don't know how it ended? It just ended.
So what happened with Bad Blood? I think the last final, it was gnarly. Joe sold his bass for drugs.
That'll do it.
And the show before that, Marky passed out right in the middle of the song. Like literally playing drums and just fell over. And I'm like going, I mean, how far is this going to go? And we blew the whole thing with Gene Simmons because he just figured like, oh, these guys are really, they're on drugs,
Yeah.
So, going for the next thing. And it's like, okay, now we got to go. But it was just so far gone at that point. I just kind of woke up and I'm just like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And we had a show and they came looking for me. They came to beat the shit out of me. And I lived with Denise in an apartment off of like Hollywood Boulevard, somewhere, whatever. But they're at the door, and I just remember having to fucking picking up a bat, and I'm just going. And these guys are crazy, so I'm like, get in the bathroom. It's gonna get ugly,
Yeah.
Somebody came and like, got rid of them, and I had to like leave because I was like, these guys are gonna fucking kill me. And then they played a show and just totally talked shit and did the whole set without me or whatever. And but it's cool. It's like I haven't talked to Marky. Curtis died. I don't know what happened to Jack. Joe's doing good. Joe's in Arizona, and him and I talk, and he's a really cool dude. But that was it. And then all of a sudden, you just sit there going, now what? What am I going to do? And then it turned into me hooking up with Lake again after he got out of Imagine World Peace, and we just did this crazy. I got to send you some stuff on it. It was just like it was an experimental band. We would play Raji's and
I remember seeing it at Lingerie. Yeah.
We did that for a while, and then I played with Joe from it was with a guy that was in this band called Tariff, and he's to this day one of my best friends. But he ended up playing in Ozzy for 7 years or something like that. But dude, we were signed. I mean, we were like with we had Warner Brother deal, and then who was it? I can't remember. I think it was DreamWorks or whatever. But long story short, he basically Zach fell off the wagon, and then we're starting the Ozfest, or the beginning of the Ozfest, and they needed a guitar player, and Joe was taught by Randy Rhoads, so they snaked him out of the band, and there I was standing there again going, all right, now what? So
Wow.
yeah, and then I got my wife pregnant, and here I am.
When did you two meet? How do
So after the whole music scene, oh dude, there's crazy stuff. I played with Jason Bonham for a couple of minutes.
wow.
I worked with Blind Melon for a little bit after their singer died. And dude, I even was like talking to like I was gonna do the backup singer, believe it or not, Elton John, because I was friends with the guitar
Oh
player.
my gosh. You deserve it. Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. So I went to art school, and I was doing miniatures for special effects, and I was doing monsters and shit out of clay and everything. And in art school, I met my wife, and I think the second date she got pregnant. This is 25 years ago.
Wow. So your son is almost as old as we were when we met. When I'm looking at him, I'm looking at you when we met.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think we were like, when I came out to LA, I was 21. And then when we met, we were probably 22, 23, something like that. Yeah.
90 we met. We really met in 90. I know that was truly when
Yeah.
we were.
Yeah. So we're like 22, 23. So it's the same age. Crazy.
That's
We're
insane.
seeing whole different shit, dude. I don't even know how to help them with stuff now, as far as like, because it's just all streaming. And I'm like, all right, I don't know how this works anymore, but he knows how it works. And he's
Yeah,
really,
yeah. I don't think there's a place everybody physically goes though anymore. To like that day is, certain things end, like no longer go to a video store to rent games. Like things have ended, and for better or for worse. There's not as many central experiences anymore for them.
no, it's crazy. And then I went to him, and like, there was this everybody going crazy for one guy on stage and the DJ thing. And I'm like, I don't understand. Where's the band? He's like, there's no band, dude. What? There's no band. You just need a DJ. I'm like, huh? So I just didn't get it. But there's some cool shit coming out. There's a lot of younger bands. There's some cool rock. Rock's getting a little bit of like a resurgence, So
Yeah,
there's some cool stuff out there happening.
yeah. But you are right about the DJing, because I just went. I look. Future is playing the Coliseum here, and I look, and it just doesn't cash the check most of the rap, like as far as an experience, because sometimes it can come off, I believe, a little karaoke. You know what I mean? Like where it's not the experience of a band. So people,
But there's an art to it. Like I totally respect. I mean, some of the DJs are so fucking talented. It's like unbelievable. Like,
yeah,
but we're just so used to seeing a band and people going crazy, but they're filling up, dude. They're making more money than the bands are. One guy.
yeah,
It's really crazy. And you're in that world, so you're probably
yeah.
going, holy, this is,
It's a weird world to just. It relates a lot because it's still like putting a set list together. Remember when you put the set list together as a band, you go, I actually always think this with DJs because they're so with the beat matching. It confuses me. Like we didn't match every beat. It went like this a lot. You know what I mean? It's like it was, but what goes into what? And even when I really got better at DJing, when it was like I just applied coming into the next song. If you would sing it, you'd come in with your bass. Where would it, instead of counting it down, divide it into 60, just
you're just going with the flow.
yeah, where you'd hit it, where you'd hit the vocal, like boom. You know what I mean? Like that's really what it is. It's this innate thing that we learned in rooms because you had great rhythm when you sang. I've been lucky, like most of the people I know, you, Kenny, my singer Paul, singing good rhythm, because when people don't have rhythm and sing, it's really a mess. I didn't even realize that existed till later on in life, that there's people that don't have good rhythmic approach, and that's even worse than being out of key.
But like there's people, they flip out. They flip out on these DJs, and there is an art to it. There's a total art to it, but it's like I tried to just really try to get into it. And some of them are bad, like some bands, and some of them are really good.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it starts catching on. You're like, going, okay, there is an art to this. There's an art to anything,
Yeah.
You know.
And it's bringing people together, I guess, festivals and bringing people together, and just whatever your thing is,
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, dude, and James is playing tonight at I wanted to go. I think they're playing the Palladium tonight.
They're playing the Palladium.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I don't know if I told you, I told Jamie, my buddies are in Smashing Pumpkins, and I wanted him to go to the show early with me at the Hollywood Bowl for sound check, and we were like, he's like, what's really going to happen if we go early? Well, we went early, And Jack, the bass player of Pumpkin, says, "Come meet me down front." And it's me, Jamie, Jack, and one other guy. And we're watching the whole Jane sound check alone in the front row of the Hollywood
No
Bowl.
way.
It was
When was
pretty
this?
What'd you say?
Earlier today, or was this before?
No, this is like this summer. A few months ago. A few months at the end of the summer.
And you remember when James was on the strip, like, playing like English Acid, and they were in that.
I remember when Casey Nicole was obsessed with you.
What's that?
Remember when Casey Nicole was obsessed with you? Yeah, she was. That was another person, all up in your thing.
Oh, Perry, yeah, Perry's girl. He was like, oh yeah, it was crazy, man.
Didn't she ask you to spray paint some wall or do just wild things? And
she was out of her fucking mind, But she was cool, but like that was, yeah, they were into they were big time into drugs back then too.
Yeah, they invented drugs, I think. Yeah. And it was great because you did everything you thought. Then you start to realize this isn't going to be make or break. What's going to make me make it? You thought anything could be the magical key, the latch to making it.
Yeah. Well, you just, and it's part of it's luck, dude. Because look, a lot of us had the talent. You guys definitely had the talent. I still scratch my head to this day. Like, you guys were like, I don't know, why. It just didn't go to that fucking next level for Blackboard Jungle, because you guys really were the ones that I thought at the time, should take off with it. But, it's just weird timing, and it's just luck, and it's just, who knows, because I've seen some bands take off,
Yeah.
I love, Mark McGrath was playing in a band called Shrinky Dinks, for God's sake,
Yeah.
Love the guy. He's funny as shit, but I was just like, he made it? Like, holy crap.
The thing, and then you start defining what is making it, because now you have made it. I think it would be scary unless you're even Guns N' Roses, they have to rely on other people. If let's say you made it to that level that LA Guns makes it at.
Right.
And I'm worried if Dave is going to want to go out this year on tour so I can pay my bills. And it could be really scary being chained to 3 other nutcases and your life really depending on them as you get older. You know what I mean?
That's the problem. And that's what it was the 3 things that break up bands is like drugs, money, and Yoko, and it was the 3 things always. It was just like a bad combination. People get greedy about money and song rights and all that. We've seen that, drugs, obviously, and then the girlfriends were like, you don't need to hang out with them, hang out with me, and it was like that battle with the whole Beatles thing, and we've all had our versions of it a million times.
Yeah. Do you ever think about, isn't it wild that you wound up staying in California, as did I, from where these other places that were just still in California? You're like, how did that happen?
Weird. I don't know. And then it was funny because I remember I went up to your parents' place. Remember we went north? And I'm like, oh, this is where Britt grew up. And this is like what, no, you grew up in Jersey though, right? And they ended up.
Yeah, but they have a place. I'm actually at their house right now in Northern California. You came up to Northern California. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you in the house that I came up to?
I'm in the house you came up to right now. I am.
You were hanging out in the hot tub with the girls. Remember that?
Yes. Hot tub's gone, but the backyard's still there. Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah.
That was a really special time.
Yeah, it was fun because and then we get to see how you kind of like, oh, this is what Brit's all about. When you get to kind of see their backstory.
Yeah.
I would love to see Mandy's backstory.
Yeah. No, he had a different one. He had a different one, a totally different one. But it was wild how all 3 of our bands were just really part of a triangle.
It really was. Yeah, and those times you'll just never get back. You just can't explain it. It was just so cool. It was like the strangest lives we ever lived. And like, think of the paradox of where we're at now. And you think back then, it's like a fucking dream or a movie. Like you could have watched a movie and just kind of woke up into this, I'm real estate guy Jeff now. And it was like, what movie did I just watch?
Yeah. And it's great that you are, but it's one thing I do, I tell you, I DJ on this boat and I say this all the time. It's like, one thing it made me realize is to recognize when you were in a moment, because I don't know if we knew we were in a moment.
No, you never know you're in the moment until the moment's gone,
I think as I get older, like working on the boat with all our friends and free food and everybody hanging out, like, okay, this is a moment, right? I said it before COVID, we're in a moment right now. They're letting the inmates run the asylum and it even changed. I go, just know when you're in a moment, man. I think that's a big key is to like, even last year when you jammed with us and Mandy, that was a moment, and I can finally go, that's special. These things don't happen every day.
No, dude, and that was super special too, because it was all this back history we're talking about. You know,
Yeah.
we haven't seen each other in years. I mean, years. And just to get on and see Kenny and Joel, I mean, it was just Dave and getting, you know, Mandy jumping up on stage. It was just so cool. I mean, if you watch that video, I was just so busy just fucking my back to the crowd and hugging you guys. That was
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
I was just because it was like that's when we kind of reunited. We didn't really see each other maybe a little bit right before, but it was fucking cool, man. It was really
Yeah. Yeah. That was really one of the most special things at any of the reunions to me ever. Cause you had different relationships with everybody, had different relationships with different people. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And of the super close, you being one of my top people, I was super close with. It got me through those times. You had Kenny, me, who are complete different animals. Kenny has a different relationship with Mandy. You do, I do. But when it all comes together, it's wild.
It's like going through high school and going through all those trials and tribulations of you know going through high school together. We just did it on Hollywood Boulevard, you know, and did it that way. And that's we kind of grew up like high school kids together. Really,
Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't it weird? Even talking Hollywood Boulevard, remember what it looked like when we first moved here? It looked like the 70s still.
Dude, I remember me and Kenny, poor Kenny. I was like, we're looking for jobs. And I'm like, dude, I got this thing. We sell horror movies. And the guy shoots the horror movies in the backyard and literally like put a plastic bag. They're the worst things you ever seen. And Kenny would come in and I'm like, okay, dude, here's what you do. You call these people, they're in some, you know, Wisconsin, and you're like, hey, this is Kenny from Hollywood. And they're like, oh, Hollywood. It's like, listen, I've got this incredible new release. You're going to need 3 of these, okay? You're going to need 3 because they're going to run out so fast. You know, and there was this whole pitch, and people would buy this garbage for like $79 a piece or something. And we would sell them to video stores, and we were selling harmonicas. We were selling. Everybody did the toner thing, but you know, we had to have our food money, you know, if you ran out of it, but like we all did those jobs, you know.
Yeah, that show me your work, and your girlfriend might make you show you were working. Do some. I work with Marky at one on. I always think of Marky because I work with him at the BAM building on Highland, selling outdated Batman videos or something. And he was like, "You're falling asleep. Have some coffee." And as a kid, I hated coffee. I go, "Why would I drink coffee?" And he goes, "It wakes you up." I'm like, what? I drank it, and that was like 50% of the Blackboard Jungle album was written because Marky told me that night a cassette mic recorder, I'd be just jacked on coffee on poinsettia, just writing into a little like mini cassette recorder, Chicago, whole friend, like just doing it, man. You know?
Poinsettia behind Rock and Roll Rouse, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I remember that too. Holy shit. We moved, dude, we've lived so many places. I drive back and you know, I go with my wife, we'll head over to Canyon because I live out in Calabasas now, but I go back over to that and I drive around. I'm like, oh, I live there. Oh, I live there. Oh, I live there. Yeah, and it was like literally 20 times. She's like, that's impossible. I'm like, no, it's true. We lived everywhere, even if it was for, you know, a month or two. But you remember those buildings when you drive by them, you remember walking up and, you know, it's just crazy, man.
So many ghosts in those, you know what I mean? So many versions of yourself. It's weird when you go back through it.
It's fun. It's yeah, you can't explain it, you know. You just take the kids. I take my kids back through it and explain it to them, and I probably sound like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite, but you know, it's fun.
Yeah.
Just stories, you know.
Do you remember? I always remember that Candy, that song by Iggy Pop. It said it was 25 years ago. In the song, he said that, and he's missing a girl from way, and that seemed like Abraham Lincoln times. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was like
that was kind of new, you know. Remember? Yeah, I remember when it came out.
Yeah, 25 years ago. How you were? Oh my God, I wasn't even born. And now you go like 25 years is nothing.
It's classic, man. Oh, and it's weird when you go to like Guns N' Roses concerts and my kids are like wearing the shirts or whatever. They just have this whole resurgence of you know, they're listening to Pink Floyd right now. I'm like, really? It's pretty cool.
It is cool because we weren't cranking up 1940s music, which is pretty much the equivalent when we were their age.
Right.
We weren't like, hey, give me that Benny Goodman fucking crank up the vinyl, crank up that Benny Goodman record on the dictaphone. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, man. It's so cool just to like talk to you guys again. It's just been shit, 20, 25 years probably.
Yes, yes. And I guess we're all just in the place. We're like settled in. It's good to hang and talk again. And I love you sent me that song you do in Voodoo Child, your voice is stronger than ever. And I feel like your love of music is stronger than ever. I know mine is.
Yeah. It's funny. I tell my kid, I said, listen, you got to tell a story and you got to talk to people like you're telling the story and have them relate to it. A lot of times what we did back in the day, at least I know I did, you'd have these bands come out. Oh, here comes, oh, this is really cool, Alice in Chains. And then you write a song that sounds like Alice in Chains. And then all of a sudden you change the
Yeah.
look. You're
Yeah.
just the product of whatever's going out because that's what they were paying attention to. And, if I could have just stayed true to the art of like what I was really about and stuck with it, whether it took off or not, the one person I saw that did that, which was Maynard from Tool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Maynard would sit there and he had weird music back in the day. He'd be at Cantor's and he'd be sitting at the counter and he was like the fucking weirdo. Nobody would talk to him. But I'd see his band play and I'm like, God, that guy's got something. He's got something. I don't know what it is. He's got something cool. And then years go by and all of a sudden Tool came out. I'm like, that's fucking Maynard. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But he stuck to it, he stuck
He did. He did.
to his thing. So I was just like, I just tell the kids, stick to your shit. Just do it from your heart and tell a good story. And
But sometimes the confusion, if you think Guns N' Roses were a little confused, the confused bands were almost the cool bands. Like Guns are like, we're kind of glam, but we're kind of biker, but we're kind of Sunset Strip, but we're kind of downtown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Alice in Chains were like, we're kind of faster Pussycat, but we're going to kind of slow it down. And we're Sabbath, you know what I mean? And that's Kurt Cobain was in the Iron Maiden and stuff along with all his like Flipper or whatever he lit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the cool part is that you can take all your inspiration and just turn it into your like cool thing. But like, man, I just remember, but you remember like, the day Guns N' Roses came out, I got not Appetite. What was your first demo? What was that? It was
Live Like a Suicide.
Yeah, Live Like a Suicide came out, and I just heard that. I was like, holy shit. And that was in Detroit. And that was one of the reasons I came out because I heard that there was that scene coming on. What is this freaking gypsy rock shit that sounds like Aerosmith? But you just knew when that movement, came out. And when Nirvana came out, that movement, that, the second they fucking hit, you're like, uh-oh, this is so cool and so different. And it's going to change the face of music. And it's just those moments in time, those bands that just hit that, big surge. It was just amazing to watch.
But do you agree? Guns was like a bomb going. That's kind of why I moved out. Guns, where we were growing up, was like a bomb going off of the most perfect band.
Oh, everybody. It was just, I don't think everybody realized how big and how influential and how crazy it was. Because, man, when you saw those guys, even being on the strip and then on the strip, I think we did like a downtown Scream show. And I think it was with Mickey. Mickey was our guitar player. And I think that's when Dizzy pulled him off the stage and Mickey hit his head on the stage. And it turned into a whole huge fight.
Which was every night. Yeah, Fighting Glamour Punks was a big.
Yeah, but that was the night that we played with. I think it was like a New Year's Eve show.
We played that too. We played a different room than you that night.
It was like, remember, it was all separate rooms. And
yep, we played then too.
I think Guns was the main band, right?
No. I don't think they play. I think like White Zombie and stuff. Maybe you did, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they probably went there and then they actually would walk in a room and the air would change. Like, you know what I mean? Like the air would literally change. It would just like.
Dude, I hung out with him one time with my girlfriend knew his girlfriend, and it was with he was with Aaron Everly, right?
Yeah.
Then what chick was I with? I don't know. I don't even remember, but I ended up like hanging out with him and talking to him, and and he was crazy. I just remember going, he's not right upstairs, man. He was just talking nonsense, but.
Really? What was he? You don't remember what he was saying? Just.
Well, no. Someone stole some equipment, and him and Wes Arkeen were recording stuff, and somebody stole equipment, and he's like, "I'm gonna go fucking shoot him. I got a shotgun." He goes, "Come on, come with me." And I'm like, "I ain't gonna go shoot anybody," And I didn't even know if he was gonna go shoot somebody. But I was just going, "God, this guy," and he was pissed. I just remember him being like really angry, and he couldn't get out of this mode. Like he was so mad somebody stole his shit. We're sitting there drinking, talking about it, and I'm like, "Yeah, man, maybe we should go fuck him up." He goes, "Fuck him up. I'm gonna go shoot him." I'm like,
"Oh my God, total Indiana there."
Oh God! But he left behind that cassette that I had because he was like playing it for. We're listening to it.
Yeah.
And it was like In the Garden and Yesterday. and it was really early versions of it with like a fucking drum machine and Wes Arkeen playing on it. And it was just like one of those moments you're just like, holy fuck, I just hung out with Axl and he just left and he wanted to go kill someone. You want me to like,
Yeah. And you hear the voice, he's talking in the voice you grew up hearing on the record, because Axl's one of those guys that talks the way he sounds. Yeah.
yeah. And I ended up like somehow I got one of his rings and my kid still wears it to this day. I gave it
Whoa, whoa.
like one of those weird things that some chick got from. It probably isn't. She probably lied to me and it's some fucking shit she bought on Hollywood Boulevard, but it's a good story.
Yeah. What are your kids thinking when they look? Do they like looking at the past and everything you've done? What do they think of it?
It's weird to them because they don't see me as that because they just see me as dad. You know what I mean? Like grew up and they never saw me play or even on a stage or anything like that. So yeah, to this day, because I don't really go out and do it anymore unless I do it with you guys or just do some kind of thing. But yeah, but we talk music and we just talk about life and talk about songs and talk about my other son has nothing to do with music. He goes to UCLA. He'll probably be like business, something. But the other son that got into music, yeah, we talk shit. Like we talk music, and he's got books all over this. This is a studio I'm in right now in the house. This is actually the house that the guys from One Republic, wrote a lot of the songs in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And ended up he was my client. I sold the house and I ended up he had this one and I'm like, fuck man, I like this house. I'm like, go in here. But there's like a recording studio, like right, there's like a whole drum room and everything to the left and everything. So he uses it and it's kind of fun to watch him go through the whole, his version of what we did basically.
And how did you start knowing, like, I know what makes a good song. Now I know what makes a good DJ set. I don't know how I learned so much about rap, but how did you start knowing what was cool about houses and what was, how did that come about for you?
Just by accident. It was one of those, I started flipping houses.
Okay.
I started working on them and flipping them and doing all this kind of stuff. And then I was paying these real estate agents so much money. I'm like, oh, they suck. And then I realized how much I was paying them. I'm like, well, I might as well just get a license, do it myself. And then next thing I know, first house I ever sold was to Meatloaf.
Wow.
And it was like, through business managers and stuff that I knew in the past, started selling to like, celebrities, or musicians basically. And then it just turned into like this whole weird, ended up in Calabasas and the stars aligned. And then this place took off with all the, my office is right at the front gate of Hidden Hills. And Hidden Hills is like, yeah, I'm sitting there and Kanye drives by, driving home like, hey.
No, have you seen him drive? Wow.
Dude, Kardashian, everyone, they just like literally like have to drive by my office to go home.
Oh my God, man.
Crazy. So I don't know. I just weirdly fell into it. I don't know. I just kind of fell into it. It's weird, and I like people.
Yeah.
So, I like bullshit with people, but I'll dress like this and, go sell a $10 million house and they dig it because I'm not being fake. And I'm just,
Yeah.
I love my favorite thing to do is when I drive around with people, it's like, when they're successful and done all this crazy stuff. I just love just having conversations with them and selling houses as a byproduct. And then I end up becoming friends with them. And, the guy that wrote Dancing with Wolves, dude, I sat down with him and got hammered on scotch. And he told me the whole story of,
Wow.
and I got this. He goes, dude, I told you the story more than I told that one guy. It's that guy that does, and they talk about the scripts and they sit down with the producers or some show or some shit.
The Actors Studios, I think I know.
Yeah. So anyway, so I was asking, that's one of my favorite movies. So, just weird stuff like, that one scene that was like really at the end when, they're riding the horse on the cliff and it's really far away and it was kind of fuzzy. And he's like, man, I can't believe you said that. He goes, that was a mistake. And then he just would tell me the story of like, why it was fuzzy because they had to use a camera because they ran out of money and, just cool shit, so it's just like for me it's just like my life is just an interview of talking to people about cool stuff.
Yeah, you're into stuff. And yeah, you're not going to work as me and Jamie saying the button up that you don't like the court, like you're going to court when you go to work, just this button up that you're sweating it,
Yeah, I'm not the $1 million listing guy. I mean, I sell houses like that, but I'm not that guy. I just it's kind of cool because my whole team is like that. I'm like, just be you. Half the guys on my team have freaking tatted up on their necks and shit.
Yeah.
But nobody judges them anymore, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's not like that, and everybody's just a little bit more open, a little bit more accepting to, Dude, back then we had tattoos. We were fucking weirdos with tattoos back then.
Oh, right. Yeah. It just everything was just no, I had a bob, dude. I mean, we were just nuts. You know what I mean?
Remember when you came in with the bob? I was like, wow, holy
Yeah.
shit.
That's when you came with so many, just me and you walking in that door, that walking in and out of that door, just me and you. There was always something, whoever was coming in, whoever was going out. Just there was always someone was home, someone was coming in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I haven't driven by that place. I gotta go drive by it sometime and just look at the outside.
Yeah. I walk up it every time we play the the Viper, just is like, wow, what a time, man. You know what I mean? Very
Dude, up
special.
to the actual house or the actual apartment, or it was like
1219 Larrabee. 1219 Larrabee.
1292. I have a license
Uh,
that says that shit.
that's amazing. Yeah. We'll have to do it together maybe this year. If you're down, we'll definitely. And you know what we should do? We should do this again and have you and Kenny and me, you, Kenny, and Mandy do this next time. This would be great to do a round table with all of us. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Let's do it. That'd be fun. I'd love to do that. I'd love Kenny. That'd be fun to do it with him.
Yeah. I known that dude since '84. Can you believe that?
Yeah, you guys were you were brothers, and you were always brothers.
Well, you did a lot of reffing though. You were a brother because you did a lot of reffing between the two of us, and you break down his side as a singer for me. You definitely did some reffing and a big part of that family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, it was good because you guys like fought over the songs of like what you wanted and what he wanted, and it was that's what makes good writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fighting for your part, and getting it in.
It was cool. It is cool, and thank you for coming by, man. And say goodbye to everybody so I can say goodbye to you.
Bye, everybody.
All right.